So if you like binge watching Netflix as much as I do, in this video I'm going to tell you about over 30 titles coming to Netflix in February 2023. Most of the titles are brand new Netflix originals. There's even a few that were recently in theaters. Then at the end of the video, I'll tell you about everything leaving Netflix in February so you can be sure to catch those titles before they're gone. This video is sponsored by Skillshare, but I'll be telling you more about them later in the video. First, I want to tell you about everything getting added on February 1st. Now, this is where they add most of the stuff you're going to be familiar with, but some of my top picks for the month include Arctic, starring Mads Mikkelsen. This was a somewhat recent release. In this movie, he's one of the only survivors of a plane crash in the Arctic, and it is an incredible survival story. My understanding is this is not based on a true story, but it definitely feels like one. The way it was shot and directed, very realistic, and obviously Mads Mikkelsen is always a top-notch actor, so if you're a fan of his, this is going to be a must-watch for you in February. They're also going to be adding Bad Boys and Bad Boys 2. I personally, believe it or not, am partial to Bad Boys 2. While the first one is kind of a 90s classic, it definitely feels dated, but it's still a pretty badass movie. Bad Boys 2 just upped things to a new level. This, in my opinion, is Michael Bay at his best when he's just doing balls to the wall action. I mean, Bad Boys 2 really is a visual feast of stunts and action. Even if some of it is CGI, it is still just a wild ride that never quits. I know it's silly and cheesy at times, but man, is it a fun movie to watch. And then for the family, they're going to be adding Fleshed Away, which is an incredibly underrated animated movie. The humor in it is fantastic for adults, and it's really just a great adventure story as well. Me and my kids love this movie, so I'm excited to see it coming to Netflix this month. Some other picks include It, the 2017 version. Oddly enough, they're only adding the first one, not the second. While I do like the first one and think it's a fantastic adaptation of Stephen King's work, I really do think the two movies work best together. So hopefully they add the sequel sometime soon, but still, that first one was a pretty solid horror movie, especially for a big budget one. Another big budget movie with some horror tones is Underworld, sort of that classic with Kate Beckinsale, easily one of the movies she's most famous for. And yeah, it's because of the patent leather costume, but man, is this a cool looking movie, even if it doesn't make a whole lot of sense and it isn't even that good of a vampire movie. It too is still pretty fun to watch. Another really fun watch is La La Land. This one got nominated for all sorts of Academy Awards. If you're a fan of musicals, there's a good chance you've seen it and loved it, but if you are not, hear me out. This is one of the best I've seen in decades. The musical numbers are all fantastic, a lot of it's just single takes and camera, but the movie overall, even when they're not doing musical numbers, is just visually stunning in ways I've never seen before. It really is a beautiful movie. It's romantic at times, it's heartbreaking. Real, just top-notch production. If you've never seen it, I highly recommend checking it out. They're also adding a couple of Julia Roberts movies, including Eat, Pray, Love, and Stepmom. And then if that's not enough Julia, they're gonna be adding Julie and Julia. This is the Amy Adams movie where Meryl Streep is playing Julia Child. Speaking of cooking, they're going to be adding Spanglish, a movie famous for several things, including a fantastic performance by Adam Sandler, believe it or not, and the famous Spanglish sandwich scene. Whew, that was hard to say, but I got it on the first try. They're also going to be adding the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy, easily the most epic movies available, kind of in the world, maybe, ever, but certainly the most epic movies available on Netflix. If it has been a while since you enjoyed these movies, they're going to make fantastic watches on Netflix this February. And then we're still on February 1st. There's a lot more to come, but they're going to be adding Gunther's Millions, which is a new limited series. It's a Netflix original about a billionaire that left all of their money to their German Shepherd. Now, I was not going to mention this one because that just sounds revolting and like something I would not want to watch, but it sounds like this docuseries goes into some wild directions with sex cults and all sorts of wackadoo shit. Now, before continuing on with the rest of the month, I do want to tell you about today's sponsor, Skillshare. Now, you may have noticed a lot of people have been leaving their day jobs lately, and take it from someone who literally figured out how to watch movies for a living, you can create new career possibilities with Skillshare and learn how to design a career that fits you. Because Skillshare has countless skills related to personal growth and new career paths like time management and personal branding. I'm currently taking a class titled Marketing Your Brand or Business with Video, something it seems like I know how to do, but I can definitely learn more. And right now you can explore the entire Skillshare library for free for 1 full month when you use my link in the description below and join for a free trial. And Skillshare is probably most known for their creative courses like video editing, photography, illustration, but they also offer a long list of career-focused courses that are going to help you reinvent yourself in 2023. So again, the first 1,000 people to use that link in the video description below are going to get a full free month of Skillshare. It is a fantastic deal, but speaking of fantastic stuff, let's talk about everything else coming to Netflix this month. Alright, now on February 3rd, they're going to be adding Viking Wolf. This is a Norwegian werewolf movie that looks absolutely sick. Even with it being a teen-centric werewolf movie, it really does look like it's got some teeth. Pun intended, but this is definitely one I'll be watching early on in the month. They're also going to be adding Infiesto, a new Netflix original Spanish crime mystery movie. This one looks fantastic. I've really enjoyed a lot of the thrillers from Spain that get added to Netflix, so this is certainly one I'm going to be checking out. And then also on the 3rd, another new Netflix original movie titled True Spirit is the true story of Jessica Watson, who is the youngest person to circumnavigate the world in a sailboat. While it does probably deal with some mature themes, this is probably a good one to watch with the family if you've got teenagers in the house. But if you've got little ones, on the 4th, they're going to be adding Lyle Lyle Crocodile, which was just in theaters all over the country and probably all over the world. This is based on a popular children's book and features the voice of Javier Bardem. This did look like an excellent movie. I almost took my kids to the theater, but we'll definitely be checking it out this Saturday on Netflix. On the 8th, they add a new docu-series about Bill Russell, a famous basketball player. Sports fans, this is probably going to be a must-watch for you. While I haven't enjoyed some of the Netflix sports docs as much as some of the ESPN ones, they're pretty damn close, so this will be a good watch for basketball fans. February 9th brings you Season 4, Part 1, with Part 2 resuming in March. I know this was a hit show during the first couple of seasons. Not real sure how many people are still watching it, but it does look like they're changing things up quite a bit with Season 4. On the 10th, they add Your Place or Mine, which is a romantic comedy starring Reese Witherspoon and Ashton Kutcher, but this is a new Netflix original. It kind of looks like the type of thing that would come out in theaters in the early 2000s. They don't really release things like this anymore, but if you're a fan of that genre, this is going to be a must-watch for you. And even though that comes out on the 10th, it'll probably make a good Valentine's Day watch, but also releasing on Valentine's Day is Perfect Match, a new Netflix original reality dating game show. It's really just a bunch of folks from all of Netflix's other dating game shows competing on an island. So if you've been watching the dating shows on Netflix, this is probably going to be a must-watch for you. And then if that's not for you, maybe you're a golf lover, on February 15th, they're going to be adding Full Swing. This is a limited series about the PGA Tour. Looks like they've interviewed a lot of the top players. So again, for golf fans, this is going to be a pretty fantastic inside look at the PGA Tour. On the 15th, they add a new horror series called Red Rose. It does look like this is maybe targeted to teens, people in their early 20s. It revolves around an app. I've seen several horror movies that revolve around an app. Not one of them has been scary yet. I can't imagine this will be either. At least not for, grown men. Two Guns gets added on the 16th, an action movie starring Mark Wahlberg and Denzel Washington. This is kind of middle of the pack for Mark Wahlberg. It's an okay Mark Wahlberg movie, but it's actually kind of low on the scale for Denzel Washington. While he does do action movies, this one's a little bit more mediocre than the ones he typically does, but still, the two of them are kind of fun to watch together, and if nothing else, it does have some fun scenes in it. Also on the 16th, they're adding 47 Meters Down Uncaged. While I did recommend the first movie in this series, 47 Meters Down, this one's a little bit more of a cash grab, but if you just want to watch a mediocre horror movie with some sharks, this is going to be your best bet for the month. And then they're also adding Ouija, a horror movie with some of the weakest reviews out of everything that hit theaters in the last 10 years or so, but it'll undoubtedly make it into the Netflix top 10 when it gets added because people like the word Ouija, I guess. February 17th adds a new Korean thriller titled Unlocked about a woman who loses her smartphone and then begins to be harassed and threatened after someone manages to unlock it. Looks like an interesting movie from Korea at the very least, certainly something I'll be checking out and potentially reviewing on the channel. However, if you've yet to dive into Korean cinema, this is probably not going to be the best one to start with. February 20th brings one of my top picks for the month, Operation Finale. This is based on a true story. This takes place in the 1960s, and Oscar Isaac plays a Mossad special agent named Peter Malkin, who was actually tasked with capturing Adolf Eichmann. Eichmann is played by Ben Kingsley, who is one of the highest ranked Nazis to escape after World War II. In fact, he was one of the primary architects of the final solution, and so this looks like a fantastic movie. I've yet to see it, but I'm itching to watch it on the 20th. If you love all the true crime stuff that Netflix adds, they're going to be adding another limited series on the 22nd called The Murdaugh Murders. This is about a series of killings of teenagers in the South, and it looks like it also goes into some wild and really dark directions, but their true crime stuff tends to be pretty top-notch on Netflix. Also on the 22nd, they're going to be adding one of the more interesting horror titles this month. It's called The Strays. Based on the trailers, this looks like it has a lot in common with Jordan Peele's Us. While that was maybe my least favorite movie of his, this one looks like a pretty exceptional Netflix original, so I'll definitely be checking this one out early, and there's a very good chance this one could end up on some future Netflix lists. On February 23rd, they add Season 3 of Outer Banks. I know this is a popular show, mostly with younger viewers, but it does look like things escalate quite a bit in Season 3. And then the 24th adds a pretty cool-looking family movie called We Have a Ghost. I say family movie, it is rated PG-13, so this is going to be for people with older kids, but it is a family comedy that stars Anthony Mackie and David Harbour as a ghost. It's set in modern times, the family goes viral with their ghost videos. It looks like a fun watch, again, with the family if you've got kids that are older than mine. Now, here is everything leaving Netflix in the month of February. If you're new to the channel, welcome, but please note the date listed is the date it is gone, which means you cannot watch it on that date. Make sure you watch it prior to the date listed. I've gone ahead and put some of them in bold. These are titles I've highly recommended on lists here on the channel in the past. Speaking of my other list, if you're new to this channel, consider clicking that subscribe button and clicking the thumbs up so you get notified when these videos release so you don't miss the movies and shows before they're gone. But that is the list. If you want more recommendations, please go check out some of my recent uploads. But I will keep making these videos as long as you keep watching them. Thanks for checking out this special Netflix episode, and you will see me on the next one.